And we are live. Welcome everybody to Afternoon Tea with the Spicy Sisters. What's in your cup, Amy?
Hollow roast coffee, and it's only hollow roast coffee because I woke up a little ill this morning, and I thought I probably shouldn't add anything special to my cup.
Yep. Apparently I don't have something on mute. Hold on. There we go.
There you go.
That's just because StreamYard does not let me do comments all in one place. And so what I do is I put it on the other monitor, and every so often we have that. So in my cup, I got Earl Grey tea.
Nice.
And a little something, something.
And a little something, something. There you go.
Something, something. It's been a week. How's it been there?
It's been a week.
Has it been like a weird, crazy week for you too?
Yeah. Maybe it's the change in weather. I don't know. Things are waking up. It's crazy. You know, here in Minnesota, we've got stuff melting, but the ground is still frozen. So we have like lakes everywhere that should not be there. It's not even really mud season yet because the ground is still frozen, and it's gross. It's just gross.
Yeah. Well, here we had snow. I'm in Tennessee. We don't do snow. And it's March. And they're like, hey, man, it's going to be 70. And then later that same very day, you will get snow. So you will have a nice layer of ice and then a nice layer of snow. And then it's going to plunge to single digits. Have fun. Great weekend. That was last weekend.
And that's no good.
We're supposed to be planting stuff in the ground. And then, of course, the ground is sopping wet. It's sopping wet. So I went out there with a garden fork, and it's like, ugh, mud. And Tactical and I've just been hitting it like 20 minutes at a time. And sometime next month, we might get some stuff in the ground. I don't even know.
So you have like heart attack mud.
Yeah.
And we have heart attack snow up here. Do you get heart attack snow down there? Like the really, really heavy, nasty stuff when you get snow?
Oh, we got that 2 snowstorms ago. We had 5 or 6 snowstorms this year, which is totally weird.
That is crazy.
So, and those joining the live stream, if you have comments or questions you want me to see, put it in all caps. I see that the Martison family's on, and hi, Margot. Margot, do I know you, or are you an Amy person?
I don't know. I don't know. But the hard thing is that some people on YouTube have different names, you know, than what you know them on different platforms. So
yeah. Well, anyway, so Afternoon Tea with the Spicy Sisters is because Amy and I have a lot of the same shit go on, and we are going to say bad words on this. So if that's going to make your ears bleed, you better just turn this off right now. We have the same shit happen, and it seems like the same weeks the same shit happens, from anything from current events to stuff on the homestead to, well, a certain entitlement mentality.
That's a nice way to put it.
Yes, an entitlement mentality. So we gathered some thoughts for this, but we're totally happy to talk about what y'all want to talk about too. This is a live chat, so it should be interactive. If you're just tuning in now, let people know that we're live. We'd love that, so we can get some more people in here. Oh, Margot, okay. So now I know Margot's friends with Matt. Matt is my friend who moved down here from New Jersey, who's an electrician who has completely revolutionized the Holler homestead. Nice. Every time he comes, I'm like, can you run another like circuit 20 amp breaker that direction, please? So anyway, and she's a member. Oh, well, I'm sorry I didn't notice that. I usually know all my member names. That's kind of weird. But welcome, Margot. And I'm glad you like my coffee. It's Holler Roast. This is totally Tazo Earl Grey in here with some whiskey, though. Wife's sister is your BFF. All right. Okay, so let's start with our first segment, or our first topic today, Amy. Shit that really happens on the homestead. So
shit that happens on the homestead.
What has happened on your homestead this week?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I mean, mostly what we're dealing with is the thaw and the gross and the mud. We don't have a lot happening on the homestead because it's still kind of sort of winter here. Like, we haven't got any of our chicks or our pigs or anything like that. So we have our layer hens and we have our ducks, and I'm watching the ducks go outside and make a mess in the snow and just, you know, I have 2, well, I guess something that's happening. I'm trying to figure out these Muscovy ducks and these boys, and they don't want to get along.
Yeah.
You know, and we have Clarence and we have George Bailey, who were named from It's a Wonderful Life, obviously. And they just, man, they can be dicks to each other. So
yeah.
What do you do? What do you do?
Yeah, one of my listeners put on her comment today, There's 2 turkeys fighting in my front yard. Offspring.
Yeah, absolutely. You can tell people are trying. We've got the stray cats coming around, the boy stray cats coming around looking for love. Like, get out of here.
Yeah.
Get out of here. Like, I don't need you.
Are your cats spayed?
Most of them are. But we always get cats that are dropped off or cats that show up because, hey, we've got that big red barn. And I think we have a neon sign somewhere that says, if you show up, this sap of a lady will feed you because she will feel bad and then you will stay. And getting cats spayed is really expensive here. It's like $300.
Totally.
There are some places where it's not as expensive. So I've had people say, I can't believe you can't afford to spay all these cats that people drop off, which is weird in itself because why am I paying to spay cats that aren't mine? But whatever. So
wait, is that entitlement mentality we were talking about?
It might be.
I can't believe you won't spend your money to spay all the cats that are dropped off.
That's right. Yeah. So, but I think it must be cheaper in some states.
Yeah.
Because I think I had someone tell me that even not at a low cost clinic, it was like $50. I'm like, oh no, that's not what it is here. So, $300 and multiply that by, oh my gosh. Yeah. Ridiculous. So I'm sure that will be an issue we'll be dealing with very soon here because spring is the time of love. And you know what that means?
I do. It means all the male cats come around.
It does. Yeah. And they piss on everything and it's gross. So
I may have an accidentally pregnant pig right now. I was like, those nipples look awful big.
Yeah.
And I noticed today she was on one side of the gate and everybody else was on the other side of the gate. So now I'm like, but she doesn't look that pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm thinking, so graduation day is Saturday for 3 or 4 of the pigs.
Okay.
Which will reduce the pressure. But man, I'm like, the whole thing. Okay, so on my homestead, I did not properly plan for pigs. Do you know what pigs do to your land?
Tear it up.
Tear it up.
Yeah.
And if it's winter, does it regrow?
Right.
So I quickly identified that if I rotated these pigs through my homestead, that the entire thing would look like Mars in, about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So I have concentrated Mars in a pig pasture at this time, which is not how I wanted to raise these.
Right.
Nakey Toe says it's $260 for a cat in South Michigan. Yeah, it's like $35 here. We have $25 spay day at Tractor Supply or something. I don't even know. There's a whole spay drive that happens in our county. But yeah, so we've got this nasty like wallows and all this other stuff going on down there. And every time you have to go feed the pigs, you have to like put your muck boots on and walk through that, and it'll sink like almost a foot. And you're like, and heaven help you if you have to run from the pigs because you're not running anywhere. And they can totally run in that.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, it's disgusting. And I can't wait to graduate these pigs. So our plan was maybe keep the mama pig and breed her and sell the suckling pigs once a year. But we were thinking of getting rid of her. And then I looked at her and the nipples are there.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty good sign that we're going to have more babies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, they're really
That'll be fun. They're cute. Yeah, I remember way back in the day, one of the first years we were at the farm, we bought a bred sow because we decided we're going to do pigs. We're going to do it the self-sufficient way. We're going to get this bred sow and then we'll breed her every year and it'll be awesome. So we bought this bred sow and they said, oh, yeah, she should be due like middle April. Like March 3rd that year, I walk out and I'm like, like I've never had a pregnant sow before, but I'm pretty sure we're having babies today. And we did. And she had 15 and it was insane. It was insane. That was the first and only year that we have done piglets.
After that, did you raise them or did you sell them?
We sold half, I think.
Yeah.
Because that's all we could sell, which is weird because how can you have trouble selling pigs, right? But so we sold 7, we raised up 8, we butchered 8 pigs that year. It was insane. It was insane. We will never do that again. Actually, I shouldn't say never because you should never say never because you know what happens.
Come on, man. Food crisis coming.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what that means you should do?
What?
Entitled listener.
Yeah, well.
Well, so this was the week of everything broke here. And I've been doing so well. So, I talk about on my podcast, like planning and having an emergency fund and
Yes.
not going into debt. And
Yeah.
So this year, fuck this year. January happened and I was doing really well. Then I got COVID. And of course, getting COVID meant shit didn't get done that usually gets done because I was sick. And then in the middle of that, my dog got hurt.
Yeah.
And it's of $2,400 worth of got hurt at this point. Yeah. Yeah. And my vet was kind to me. Yeah. And I'm like, that's okay. I got it. It's fine. Car broke. Another like minimum $1,000. It's going to be more than $1,000 to replace that. And like 4 other things happened. So then this week, because car broke, I paid $210 to have a starter put in a vehicle that I did not have time to deal with. I've never put a starter in, and nobody else had time, which is way too much to pay to have a starter put in a Mighty Max, which is a 1980s era little truck that goes, has all these libertarian bumper stickers on the back. It's called the Libertarian Mobile. Standard transmission, no extras. It does have a cassette player. I just found out. I thought it was just AM, FM, but
fancy. Wow.
I'm like, it's fine. I can drive it around. I can go refill my propane tanks. All of that won't start. You know why? Head gasket's blown or the engine block is cracked. I'm like, I never do anything but put antifreeze in the freaking vehicles. Like, what the actual fuck is going on with this car? So it doesn't start. I'm like, I'm carless. Basically, if there's an emergency, all I've got is my next door neighbor's truck. So he drives to go get feed. 120 miles from here, his fucking truck breaks down. So now I'm like, we got nothing. We've got nothing but neighbors. Thank God we have neighbors.
Oh my gosh.
So towed his feed-filled truck. And what's wrong with my car is the rear differential's out. And I'm like, technically I can drive it. It's just I'm dragging a tire.
It's fine.
It's fine. Yeah. So I go pick him up and we put 10 bags of feed in and we tarp the rest because, of course, rain's coming. And I get back home and I'm like, Mom calls, car accident in California. Everybody's fine, but car accident. I'm like, I'm not leaving. I am not leaving the house Wednesday because I'm fucking cursed. And then my buddy Matt, who we were talking about earlier, his brakes like dropped a screw and he lost the caliper. And I'm like, nope, not leaving. Then my super high-end coffee maker wouldn't make coffee because the water was going in the wrong place. So I call them and I'm warranty. I'm like, what the fuck? Like everything's breaking. And I was like, okay, Nicole, you need to have the right mentality. So like, turn that frown upside down and all that shit. And I'm like self-talking. I'm like, no, actually, I'm just not going to go anywhere Wednesday. So then today I'm bitching about all this to the person I'm teaching how to roast. And she's like, oh, you know what? That happened with my coffee maker too. And when you're cleaning it, it's not in the manual, but there's this other part you can take off. And if that gets clogged, the water goes to the wrong place. And that's exactly what was wrong. So I've decided everything can get better from here.
There you go. You're going to be able to make coffee. So
I can always make coffee. It's just my favorite coffee.
Right.
Yeah.
The good coffee.
Yeah.
The good
that was everything broke week, including my bank. I am now broke. I am also broke along with it, but it'll be fine.
That's a lot all at once.
Yeah. Did you have a week like that?
Not this week. No.
Was that last week for you?
I don't know. Things have been. I don't know if I even want to say like things have been pretty chill. Let me knock on some wood here.
Cool.
Yeah, things have been pretty whatever here. So
I 100% blame daylight savings time. It's daylight savings time. It makes people crazy.
Yeah.
Their energy came out in the world. It all landed here, and now I have to hire a freaking exorcist.
Maybe that's what it is.
Because I don't change my schedule for daylight savings time. I just call different hours.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it is. It's the energy people are putting out.
It's all messed up. Stupid daylight savings time.
Hey, if I get the head gasket fixed, Michael can make me cassette tapes. Will it be a mixtape tape, Michael? Please make it a mixtape.
Mixtapes are the best.
Yeah. Margot says, last 4 months we've been dealing with plumbing problems. That was my year 2019 and 2020 when I had to replumb my whole house. That's really fun. Ooh, $6,000 bill. Oh, I had a furnace go out too this year. That was $5,500. Yeah.
I will say a couple years back, and it wasn't last year, maybe the year before, but we did have huge issues with our well. We had water lines that broke. We had to replace the water line to, our house from the main, and then the one of the barn broke. It was gross, and it kept raining the whole time that we had people here working on it, and it was a mess.
Hi, little
That
man.
was gross. Hi, little man.
Yeah. I thought little man would like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So is that like what we're done with, the talking about the homestead, or do you have more? Price of feed.
Oh, yeah. Price of feed and price of like chicks, because I just looked at ordering Cornish cross for this year, and
$6.
holy
$5.
shit, they were $1.20 in 2018. I look back at our things, and $1.20 in 2018, and they are almost triple. Man.
Yep.
Makes me really want to go order some chicks and raise them up, but what do you do?
Hey, Ken Ash is on the float feed.
Hey,
Welcome,
Ken Ash.
Ken Ash. He said, enough horror stories. I got to drive to Georgia this weekend. That means he's not going to come help process pigs. I wasn't expecting him to anyway. Yeah, price of feed. What are you doing about it? Are you just sucking it up, or?
I was considering adding rabbits this year, actually. And now I've decided, instead of doing that, I think we're just going to be way more intentional about growing food here that we can use for the animals, because we've always got extra here from our garden, but we're not intentional about it. It's more like, oh, we have extra, we'll toss it to the pigs, we'll toss it to the ducks. But so we're going to be more intentional about it this year, and because we have a whole pasture we're not using. We don't have any animals out there. Like, we should take that space and do something productive with it. So that's probably what we're going to focus on this year, to get us a little bit more self-sufficient in that area, and that will help with the cost of feed. But I mean, if you got to buy feed, you got to buy feed. I don't, there's no way around it, really.
Yeah. Billy Bond has a whole method of raising meat birds without buying feed called Chicken Tractor on steroids.
Yeah.
And you should totally go check that out.
We might need to look at that.
Yeah, I'm looking. So we were just talking about how we're doing meat birds. So we usually do classes and all that. And I had so many chickens because we overestimated what we needed. And then I developed my distaste for the flavor of chicken until I had COVID, at which point they reset it, and now chicken tastes good again.
Perfect.
But I didn't eat chickens for a while. So we have 35 chickens in the freezer right now.
Yep.
And it's time to start meat birds again. And finally, what I came to is I want to have a heritage breed and keep like 4 girls and a boy, or 4 girls and a couple boys as backup, and start raising meat birds that take 12 to 16 weeks instead of 8 to 9 weeks.
Yep.
But the reality of the situation here is I don't have anywhere to put these birds, and I don't want them free ranging because they rip up everything.
Yeah.
And I finally not having a situation where animals are ripping up everything. So I talked to Tactical. I said, what we should do is a run of meat birds. We'll do the chicken processing class. Anybody who wants to sign up can. People who've already taken it are, in essence, certified to come use all of we have really awesome equipment here, like a scalder and a plucker that's really nice. They can buy their chickens and process their own chickens if they've already been at my class. And then do that. And then secondly, I have a rotisserie now. So rotisserie chicken is so good. So we're going to be eating more chicken again. But
nice.
That's the plan, and that'll just be normal meat birds. And the goal is by fall, we have enough infrastructure to have chicken yard that can keep them caged and make garden beds each year.
Nice.
Like, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I think it's cool how the longer that you like do the homesteading thing, the more stuff you figure out. Like, you think you've got it figured out, and then you're like, wait a second, we could do this a totally different way, or a totally more, productive way. So that's definitely what we're going to be looking at this year. But I was going to ask you, you said you got your taste back for chicken.
Yeah.
After you had the vid. So did you lose your taste during that? Because when I had it, I completely lost my taste. And now, you know what tastes really good to me? Egg salad. I could eat that. And I was never a big fan of it, but now, like, oh my gosh, I can taste coffee. I can taste whiskey. I can taste egg salad.
Oh, you said the keyword. Drink.
Woo! There you go. I'll save my
drink in solidarity, because if you feel funky, you should not drink. Otherwise, you get sick.
I know. Yeah. That's awesome. But actually, after having the vid, chocolate tastes like salt to me.
Uh-oh. Still?
Have
you tried the trick where you put a drop of frankincense on your tongue, hold it to the roof of your mouth twice a day?
I've not heard of that. I'm writing that down because this is getting really annoying. Frankincense, I
Well,
got it.
I mean, I assume you have frankincense if you
I
have.
do.
Yeah, most people who have essential oils do. And I don't know if it works or not. I did start doing that when I heard about it before I had COVID because chicken and pork tasted lightly of rotten fish.
Okay.
But I could make myself eat it. And so I was envisioning what it used to taste like and eating it anyway because I'm like, I shall not fail, but I wasn't eating it as much.
Right.
And then I started doing that, and I had lost that around Thanksgiving. So my Thanksgiving turkey tasted of rotten fish to me.
Oh, that's pleasant.
And of course, I have like 4 turkeys in the freezer. I was like, well, this is going to be a really long winter. And, it's new. It's not, I knew it wasn't rotten. And I kept asking people, like, does it taste bad to you? Because I don't know if it tastes bad to you. Maybe I did something weird. And then I got COVID, and I did not lose my taste. I lost my smell.
Yeah.
So then soup, my doctor put it beautifully. Soup tastes of seawater, coffee tastes of ashtray, and like everything just doesn't taste right. And that was gone. And I started doing the frankincense thing. That was gone for only 2 or 3 days. And it sort of slowly dialed back up to where things tasted normal again. Chocolate being the last thing to come back for me.
Oh.
I totally didn't crave chocolate at all because chocolate tasted of sweet, like straight sugar.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So crazy. It's funny though, because when we were sick, we don't pay attention to expiration dates. We do the sniff test. Well, when you can't smell, you're like, can anybody in here smell this and make sure it's still good? Whoops.
Yeah. Letty says whiskey is very important to be able to taste, especially for Thanksgiving. St. Patrick's Day.
This is true.
Yeah, Nate's expecting rabbits in the next couple weeks. We are too here, and I ordered nesting boxes that have not arrived, and I need to call those people because, yeah. Anyway, I can't drink hint-infused water anymore.
I bet it's mint.
Mint.
Maybe.
Says, oh, yeah. The weirdest thing when I couldn't smell was mint feels refreshing in your mouth, but I could taste nothing. It just tasted like hot water with a refreshing afterfeel. Yeah.
That's so strange.
Yeah. Yeah. That's just weird. Okay. Let's get on to the hard topic.
Let's do it.
The entitlement mentality of our listeners. This is where we lose people permanently as listeners, right?
It might happen.
It might happen. Do you care?
I don't.
I don't either. I don't. It's so funny that you brought that topic up when we were just talking about developing bulleted lists because so something I've argued with some people who admin my communities. I'm very thankful to have admins help. And so I have a tendency to say, well, if that's your decision, that's your decision. So every so often I get somebody who's pissed off at something I said or pissed off at other people, or they're going down like way down the trail of a conspiracy theory that may or may not be true, but we don't need to dwell on that because that does not help move our lives forward. And that's not what our community is about. And then an admin will say, we don't talk about that here. If you want to go talk about 9/11, go to this truther group over here and talk about it there. That's what it's for.
Right.
And they'll say, I thought this group was about freedom. You might as well just kick me out. Well, you can fucking leave the group anytime you want to. Why do I need to kick you out? Like, what kind of victim mentality is it that you can't trust yourself to be a big boy or girl and leave your group on their own if you don't like how the conversation's going? Does that happen to you?
I don't know that I've ever had someone say, well, you're going to have to kick me out, but I
multiple people.
That's crazy.
You need to ban me from your group. I'm like, I don't have to do shit, man.
That's so weird. Is it so then they can say, I got kicked out?
I got kicked out. That's exactly right. They want to go badmouth you behind your back and say, I got kicked out.
Oh, man. I tell you, I've had people who they say, you need to talk about, because I don't talk a lot about current events on my podcast, I'll mention them, but I'm not, it's not like the focus of everything, but I will have people who will message me and say, you need to talk more about more current events because you have this platform and you need to be using it for good. And so apparently spending all your time talking about the current events, like all the shit that's going on in the world, is using it for good. Like, I don't understand that, but
Well, that's because you're supposed to convince people to get vaccinated.
Oh.
Or that the war with Ukraine is 100% Putin's fault.
Got it. Okay.
Or that racism can only be fixed by enacting racist policies.
Yes.
Yeah.
I should probably write this down so I
Yeah.
know. Yeah, okay, I'll take
Global
note.
warming's in there.
Got it.
Yeah, so Dixie, the homemade wanderlust lady, she got a lot of pressure when the Black Lives Matter stuff happened to use her platform for that, and she kept saying, "This is about hiking. This has nothing to do with that." And I want to talk about hiking. It's my platform. And she like got called a racist and all this other stuff because her name was Dixie. You know, when you hike, your hiking name is assigned to you. You don't go say, hey guys, call me Dixie.
Oh my God.
They called her. I'm sure it was because she has a Southern accent. I know Dixie. She's not racist. Wow. But yeah, it was a whole thing. And people were really hurtful to her about that.
People can be so nice and so awesome and people-y. Right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Why do you think you can tell me what to do? So I had one a little while ago. So my podcast is Build the Life You Choose on Your Terms, and we talk a lot about establishing boundaries and about learning what's none of your fucking business.
It's a thing.
It's a thing.
Hey, let me show you my shirt that I wore for this. Let me see if I can move it. It is watch your own damn bobber.
Yeah. Perfect. That's the perfect analogy. So then this person listens to my podcast. They were kind of new to it, goes on my website and makes a comment that they listened to the live stream I did with John Willis and Jack Spirko.
Oh, geez.
And we said fuck a lot in that podcast.
It's a thing.
And like, I like your podcast, but I just can't get over the trashy language you're using. And went off on this whole thing and you've lost a listener. And I almost didn't publish the comment. And I was like, fuck it, I'll publish it. And then I responded to it. I was like, anybody who's listened to my podcast for any amount of time would know that throwing a temper tantrum in public about it is not what I would have recommended as a great way to deal with conflict. And if that offended you, reasonable would have been say like, hey, Nicole, next time you have a show that's going to have a lot of F-bombs in it, could you just throw in the disclaimer that we might say fuck on this one so that I can turn it off and not play it in front of my grandkids? Like, fair enough. I understand you don't always want little kids hearing words. That's cool. Or maybe you don't want to hear them. But to throw a hissy fit and tell me what to do on my own damn podcast, like, no. And anybody who's had John Willis and Jack Spirko on their podcast knows they're going to say fuck. It's going to happen, especially when we get off on current events. And I guarantee you, I got more listeners by playing that from their networks coming to listen to my podcast than the one person I lost who couldn't think about hearing through the F-bomb. Very disappointed in that behavior. Like, for me, I'm disappointed in you at that point when you're being an entitled brat, because the whole point is the fewer entitled brats we have, the better our society will be.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. I have issues with people saying, I disagree with something that you said on your podcast. I'm unhappy with something you did in your community, something you said on your channel. And so I'm leaving. You know, like they have to announce, I'm not following you anymore. I'm not listening to your podcast. I'm not following your channel. Recently, I actually had someone who just realized that I am married to someone in law enforcement. I've been married to someone in law enforcement for almost 22 years, and they were a longtime listener, follower.
Yeah.
And they just realized that, which I thought was weird because I'm like, how did you not know that? If you've listened to me for a while, you know that. But they said they could no longer follow me because they couldn't follow someone who was married to a cop.
All right, then I'll get a divorce just to keep you as my listener.
See, like, that was the thing. I was like, what is it that you want me to, number one, do you want me to get a divorce? Or number two, do you want me to tell him to quit his job? Like, what do you want me to do?
Which one? Yeah.
Otherwise, if that's not it, like, why are you telling me? I don't understand the psychology behind, I need to tell you that I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Because what do you want me to do about it? Like, okay.
Bye.
All right. There's lots of other podcasts and YouTube channels you can pay attention to. That's fine. But I don't know. I don't know if they think, oh, I'm going to make a point, or I'm going to make them mad, or they're going to change their mind, or like, I don't know. It's crazy. It's
yeah, it's
crazy.
just there's no good solution there at all.
Yeah. And I was thinking, the whole like telling people I have to leave, or that you have to leave. Have I ever done that? Like, I'm trying to think, is there any situation in my life where I was like, I don't agree with this anymore, and I'm going to say, I don't agree with this anymore. I don't like what you did, and I'm leaving,
Yeah.
And I could only think of 2 times I've ever done that, and it's when I held a position in something that I would have had to have been replaced. So I was telling them, "Hey, peace out," like,
Yeah.
I'm not doing this anymore, and when they asked, "Why are you leaving?" Because they asked, I said, "All right, I'll tell you what's going on." But
Yeah.
I left, and they continued to do the same things that they were doing that were the reason that I left, so I'm like, "What was the point of telling you? Because it didn't make a difference anyway," Like, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't understand the psychology behind it, but
I have at jobs written letters saying I'm giving my notice and I'm telling you why I'm leaving politely, like in a
right.
kind way. This was not a good environment for me,
Sure.
and do what you want to do with that information. That's about that's the only time I'll say why I'm leaving. Usually I'm
Right.
just gone.
Right.
You know, my time is too valuable to waste it on shit like that.
Right. And I think, I mean, there were things that like speaking about back in 2020 and the COVID and all the things, there were communities I was involved in, or local things I was involved in, that I wasn't real thrilled with how they handled things. And I just
Yeah.
stopped being involved in those things. I didn't tell them. I just stopped going. And you know what? They
Yeah.
never asked.
Yeah.
It's obvious when I don't show up. Oh, well, she's not here anymore.
She's
Like,
not here anymore. Yeah.
okay, moving on. So
Yeah.
I don't know. That one just always gets me. Like, why do we have to tell people? You made me mad. I'm taking all my toys and going home. You
My
know?
play box. Sandbox over here.
Exactly. Yeah.
They don't care. I mean, they shouldn't care. And I think that's the thing. People have a hard time. Somehow we've trained people that we have to be all inclusive and everybody has to get
Yeah.
along all the time. And the truth of the matter is, I don't like some people.
I cannot believe you just said that.
I don't like some people, and some people don't like me.
It's a thing. Yeah.
And there's no reason that we need to hang out. Like,
Right.
I'm an adult. I love my life. Sometimes it's stressful, like this week, but I love my life. And I don't regret this week either.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm glad this week happened this year, not 2 years ago when I was financially strapped. Because I mean, it's not like I wanted to spend the money, but I'm also not like, well, I guess I got to whip out that credit
Right.
card. So
Right.
it's actually kind of good it happened this week. But like, why do we have to play together? I don't have a job with you. You don't like the same things I like. You think I'm a
Right.
bitch, like any of those things.
Right.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
I would even support your right to go be an
Exactly.
asshole on your
Right.
turf. And if somebody doesn't like it, say, hey, that's his turf.
Yeah.
I don't care.
And it's just so weird that like the internet is so big. Like anything you want to find, you can find. So if you don't like what you're in right now, like go find it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, here's a good comment from Homestead Journey. People have the right to be wrong. That's another one. Hey, like 3 years ago, I had an opinion about how you raise chickens, and it's different now.
yeah.
I was wrong 3 years ago.
That happens as life goes on. You learn
Yeah.
new things.
Yeah.
You change your mind.
Right. Yeah. And as you come across different people and get
Yes.
exposed to new ideas, you're like, oh,
Yes.
hey, I don't know. What other entitlement mentalities have you come across? Anything crazy, or are we moving on?
I think I'm just kind of stuck on that one.
Just the flouncing?
Probably because that's what I've been dealing with a lot
Hair
lately.
flip on the way out the door.
Hair flipped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That happens on Zello all the time too, the walkie-talkie app when somebody So they have a rule, no bad language on the TSP Zello app. I'm holding my phone up because it's on there. And they set that up because a lot of people have kids. And if you join the group, you agree not to swear. And there have been some people who just want to swear. And then they get mad and they demand that they get banned, which is stupid because now you're being a victim. You could leave anytime.
Right.
And, some of us say bad words from time to time. Like every time I do, I'm like, oh, I said shit again. I mean, I said it twice now, and they kind of, when you're humble about it, it's fine. But we just call it the hair flip on the way out. Like you got to ban me. I don't know. Dusty says, trying to shed light on something they strongly disagree with as they leave in the hopes of actual change is one thing, but tantrums are uncalled for. Exactly.
Tantrums are never cool. It doesn't matter if you're 3 or 43.
Yeah.
They're not cool.
Yeah. Okay, so our next segment.
Yeah.
This is a good one. This is my favorite one of the day. I like to refer to it fondly as get off your ass.
Get off your ass.
Get off your ass. Amy, tell me about this one.
We've probably all dealt with this, but you know, we have the people that say, I really want to do this thing. I really want to start this thing. I really want to change this thing. I want to start a YouTube channel. I want to start a business. I want to write a book. I want to do whatever, but I don't have any time. I don't have any time, Amy. And then you see these people online chatting or posting or doing whatever all damn day. All day. I have a friend, she has and I'm pretty sure she's not in here, but
yeah.
She has 3 kids. And she has so many awesome things she wants to do. So many awesome things. Lots of ideas of things she wants to start with arts and crafts and different things she's making. And so, you know, I will talk to her and be like, okay, here, you know, suggestions, here's what you can do. Well, I can't do that because I need to be available for my kids all the time. All the time. Like, I just need to be available for them. That's fine. But then she's constantly posting on social media. And I think those 2 things don't line up. Like, if you want to start your thing, that's great. Start your thing. If you want to spend all day online for, you know, whatever. If you want to spend all day taking care of your kids and be like, you know, zeroed in on them 24 hours a day, that's fine. Those 3 things do not work together. And you have to be honest about the thing you're saying over here, you know, and that, you know what I'm saying?
So, yeah, the behavior over there.
Yeah.
I did a full day's work before this. I roasted all the coffee for the day and shipped it. I trained somebody how to roast because I need to have a backup roaster so I can go to more trade shows. And that was all done by 2 p.m.
Right.
And that's why my hair is sticking out over my ears like this.
You need a hat because mine was like that too, you know? You just need a hat.
I have one. It's probably, it's usually right here, but I probably wandered off with it. But and you'll notice I put maybe 2 posts on social this morning, and that was it. That's because I was not on social because I realized we have this thing. I need to be like in a good mental place. And if I'm worried about coffee orders that didn't go out, I'm not going to be in a good place. And you're absolutely right. You just got to get off your ass and do it. I get a lot of people asking me, how do I do X, Nicole? How do I become a roadie driver, which is a delivery driver? It's like Uber for delivery of things. Well, you go to roadie.com, I think. Might be roadie.net, but I think it's roadie.com. And you download the app and you put it on your phone and you go through their approval process. And then if somebody says, I'll pay you $20 to take this from here to there, you say, okay, and you go do it. Yeah. Well, what about liability insurance? And what if the person has a gun and blah, 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 and all of these things. And I'm like, get the app, take the job, do the job. And then, this is important, evaluate, did I make money? Yeah, valid. That's the only way you will ever find out if it makes sense. And I understand you want to overanalyze or you're afraid to get started. My word this year is courage. You just got to go try it. Like, just try it. And if it doesn't work, what's the negative consequence of something like that not working? I spent $10 on gas and some time. Right? Yeah. But if you sit around thumb in your ear, not starting anything, you're going to get more and more dependent on that job you have that may have you undergo medical treatments you don't want to undergo, or may require that you work overtime when you don't want to work overtime because you'd rather spend time with your kids, or keeps you tied to a city where you don't want to be, or has you in an abusive relationship with your boss, which sometimes happens, right? Where it's just really unhealthy spiritually for you. All of these things can happen. Meanwhile, you're going further and further in debt because you're spending money to make yourself happy, and it's not making you happy because the core problem is you don't control your life. Right. The only way to control your life is you start controlling your life, and what's going to happen is you're going to fucking fail. Yeah. How many times have you failed at a project?
So many times. So many times.
So many times. You're going to
But that's
fail.
how you
So
get
what?
there. Yeah.
Yeah. And usually the negative consequence of failing is nobody dies, nobody really gets hurt. It costs you a
Right.
little bit of money, or you look stupid.
Right. I was going to say it costs you a little bit of pride, a little bit.
Yeah. You learn something, and then next thing you know, you're an advisor to people who want to figure out how to do this stuff
Right.
without looking
Yeah.
stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and like with the social media thing, I love social media. Like I love to chat with people. Like social
Mhm.
media is like the water cooler. That's how you build the communities now and do all of that. But
Mhm.
I have found that as I've gotten busier with content creation and busier with all of that, I have to know it's time to be done. Okay, we're gonna talk in the morning. We're gonna have our time to chat. Like I know you used we
Yeah.
used to be there. Like this is the time I'm gonna be here. This is when we're chatting.
Yeah.
And then you go do your stuff. And that's probably different for everybody. I mean, I
Yeah.
know, like I'm trying to think back, like when I had little kids,
Mhm.
like this chatting like all the time, you couldn't do that. Like that was not an option when I had little kids. But man, you have to be honest enough to take a look at how much time you're spending on what you're spending time on. And if there's something you want to change, you have to like look at it, and be like, everybody's got 24 hours in a day. How are you going to
Here's a
spend yours?
comment from
Mhm.
Odyssey. You just realized you told people to stop watching your
Yeah,
live video and go do something else. Yes,
yeah,
we did.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you can catch the replay.
You can play it in your ear while you're doing stuff with your
You
hands.
can. That's my favorite thing to do. Yeah.
Some of you already are. I mean, I know somebody's driving and streaming us on Float right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe working. Maybe he's not driving. But yeah.
There are options.
Yeah. There are
And
options.
that's the cool thing. Like I used to like have a problem with live streaming because it's like I'm basically asking everybody to stop what they're doing and watch me live, but I'm really not. Like we're doing this conversation because this is what works for us, and you
Yeah.
can watch it if you want. Don't watch it if you don't. Catch it as a replay if that works better. Catch it as a podcast later if that works better. It's
Right.
just another way to get out content. So I had to really change the way I was thinking about that. But man, yeah, there's also been a couple of people who have said, um, all these content creators are actually, someone was just talking about this today. All these
Mhm.
content creators are joining all these different social media platforms. And do you want us to follow you on all these different social media platforms? Because I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
No, if you want to follow me, find the platform that works best for you. Because every platform has its own flavor. Every platform has its own like community, and you're going to like some and you're going to not like some. It's not like, I mean, if I'm gonna open like a chain restaurant, I
Yeah.
open one 5 miles from here and 20 miles from here and 30 miles from here. I don't want you to go all of them. I want you to pick the one that works for you. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
people shouldn't stress out about it.
Yeah. And we're trying all the social platforms because shit's going south on the normal ones, right? And we
Yeah.
don't know who's going to be left in 6 months
Right.
exactly.
Right.
I don't know if YouTube will keep me on YouTube. I don't know if Facebook will ban me from Facebook. I've
Right.
downloaded a file of all my pictures from the past because that's what I care about on Facebook.
Yeah.
And from there, it's like, okay, I won't have as easy access to some people, but anybody
Right.
who really matters to me knows how to reach me other ways.
Right. And I think it's different when like you're using social media for business or if you're not using it for business, like you're just using it to be social. I think that changes how you're using it. And so don't assume that it's the same for, content creators as it is for
Yeah.
non-business people or, I don't know
Yeah.
what we
And
call.
if you don't listen to my podcast as much because what you're doing is making your life better, or
Yeah.
if you stop listening to me completely, I mean, I love having listeners. I love the community we've made,
Right.
but you're building your life. And
Yeah.
that's the whole thing that we're seeking to do here is get you to, help you go for it, because in our world, when people decide to go for it and they're going to do something quirky like start a bakery,
Yeah.
well, all they
Yeah.
hear is why they can't do it, how hard the food laws are, what parameters they can operate within, what if you kill somebody, so you need live, like they hear all of this negative shit.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, all they wanted to do was bake some cookies and sell them.
Yeah.
And I'm saying go bake your cookies and sell them.
Yeah.
Because if that's what you love, you're going to have such a happy life baking
Yeah.
cookies that who the fuck cares about the inspector
Right.
at that point?
Yeah. Do it.
Yeah. Here's one. Homestead Glamour says, what tea are we drinking today? I'm doing green tea steeped with peppermint and a dash of cardamom, cloves, cinnamon, ginger powder. Okay. Homestead Glamour Girl, can you be in charge of tea at the Airbnb that you're sharing with me for Self-Reliance Festival, please? Because that sounds lovely.
Nice. I like it.
My tea is 4 roses.
My tea is hollow roast coffee today. I had to be good.
The Earl Grey is long gone.
Next time we do this, I'll put a little something in there.
Yeah, she says, yep, awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, that sounds really good. And I have been doing afternoon tea on purpose so I don't just drink straight line caffeine all day out of the coffee maker.
There you go.
It's, it's not a bad choice.
Yeah.
Okay, on to the next segment, eh?
Yeah.
By the way, guys, if you have any questions or comments, throw them in all caps so I see them. I am trying to see the ones that aren't, but sometimes, I don't see them. Media sucks.
Yeah.
The media sucks. You can't trust them. Even when you think they're right and you're reading it, that's probably not right.
Yeah.
And maybe it's been this way our whole lives, but it seems a lot worse. It seems like it's been getting steadily worse for about 15 years. And it was probably going on longer than that.
That's probably true.
My pet peeve right now is the use of the term by media of unprecedented.
Tell me about that.
So we had this pandemic and it was unprecedented.
Unprecedented.
I was like, I'm pretty sure it was about 1918 or so that the Spanish flu came through and was worse than COVID.
Was that a thing? Really?
That was a thing. And that was a precedent. And before, we had the bubonic plagues come through.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's precedented.
Do
you know what the word even means?
Maybe not.
What was unprecedented was shutting all the shit down for the healthy people. That was unprecedented. Nobody was talking about that.
No, they weren't.
No, it may be unprecedented that they got as many vaccines out as quickly as they did. That was unprecedented.
That was interesting, was what that was.
That was interesting, as if they knew. Oh, wait, I'm on the conspiracy theories. So we'll get more of those as we get deeper in this glass.
She's going to sip on her whiskey now. Yeah, it's the whole unprecedented thing. It's what I always thought was funny was we had, some younger folks that were like, oh my gosh, it's horrible, like especially when the whole Ukraine thing happens, right? And it's horrible and this has never happened before. It's blah, blah, and I'm like, where have you been? Like, where have you been? And I will be 43 next month, so I've been around for a while, and I was thinking about like back in like just the way they approach things now. With social media and having this constant stream of news and very much, it's a different kind of journalism now. It's not just this is what's happening. It's this what you should think about it.
That's what you should think about what's happening.
Exactly. And so I was thinking back to, like in 6th grade, way back when I was in 6th grade, I remember, so like Operation Desert Storm starts, right? And they collected all of the 6th graders and brought us in.
I was in college for that because I'm older than Amy.
Okay, you were in college for that.
I was not in 6th grade.
So they bring all of us into a room and they're going to explain to us what's happening. And this is a big deal, and we're 6th graders. We're like, okay, and we knew I had friends who had people who had relatives who were in the military, that kind of knew what was going on, so like this was a thing. But like I remember going home then after class, and just being like, okay, so we got this Operation Desert Storm thing, and the only time you ever heard about it was on the nightly news, 6 p.m. We didn't get the newspaper, there was no internet, and so that was your exposure to what was going on. And I never remember sitting around the dinner table with my parents having them like, oh my gosh, and what are we going to do? It's like, okay, we got this thing going on across the, overseas, but we got shit to do here where we live. Like we got all this stuff to figure out. And so that's what's so weird to me with the media, how it's just so infiltrated in people's lives and how it just changes the whole thing there. Yeah.
Yeah, and finding actual news is really hard.
Yeah.
It's really, really hard. I do an underground networking presentation, and an example I bring about how underground networking can create change. Underground networks is when the Iron Curtain was a thing. they were, it's Prague Spring. They were writing newsletters to each other, typing them on typewriters, handing them out, and then other people with typewriters would retype it to get this out. That was called, I think it was Tommy's Dot. And the unique approach to these newsletters, besides the fact they had poetry that was not allowed to be created and stories, fiction writing, was they reported on things happening from a completely balanced, no opinion point of view, the way that news stories are supposed to be written.
Right.
This is what's happened. Maybe these are the perspectives of people, but it's clearly perspectives of people. Come to your own conclusion. And those started getting out into the Western world, which gave a view into what was really going on in the USSR. And that helped empower people to stop allowing it to keep going. And what I think when you look at how things end in conflicts where there is a problem of totalitarian control, the ones that end because the people stop allowing that control to be put on their heads.
Yeah.
There is often violence. There's lots of different ways it happens, but ultimately it's because, the revolution, it's because the people made it happen.
Yeah. Can you imagine that happening here?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it did once.
Yeah. I don't know how to solve the issue of the media. I don't know.
Even the independent journalists are too opinionated. They're too opinionated. And what we need is for more people to understand how to go to the source. So I'm reading, Jack Spirko mentioned, was it The Real Anthony Fauci or something is the name of the book?
Yep.
Yeah. I'm reading that now.
How is it?
It'll piss you right off.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was thinking of getting it on audiobook because I've heard it's quite the read.
I'm a better reader.
Are you?
Ironically enough, because I'm a podcaster. I'm a better reader, and I read for about half hour in the morning when I choose to follow my daily routine. And I'm still just reading about hydroxychloroquine. Also, that's going to get me banned on YouTube, probably.
Sorry.
Yeah. COVID, vaccination, hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin. I've done them all now. It just, because it's all well cited. It's citing research that exists. And you can only come to one conclusion so far. Well, I mean, we'll see how it goes. But I think it's worth the read, even if you are pro Anthony Fauci, by the way. Because you should be looking at what people are saying critically of people that you admire. It's really, I had a really good read about John Willis the other day, actually, because some people don't like him. And yeah, I like him. I still like him after reading it. I was just like, oh, that's what people think. Okay.
I
have an idea of what's going on over under the hood. Chicken Hawk says, turning off the news was the best thing I ever did.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
We used to call the news death and destruction many, many, many years ago when we still watched the news. That's before the farm and everything. We don't, nope, that's not anything we do anymore. So
no. Well, and that's why when the conflict in Ukraine started, I looked around and I was like, I don't see any Russians here. Nope. Okay, I'm going to keep working on the homestead. And And I hate when violence happens anywhere. I hate that people have to suffer. I hate all of that. I think it's bullshit. I think it's world leaders causing pain for other people.
Yeah.
I think that about every conflict, though. And nothing I do here does anything for any of that. It doesn't stop it. It doesn't further it. It just does what it's going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think it's interesting how I think especially with social media, I think there are people who think the more we talk about it, the more we're helping, the more we're changing. And there is that thing where there have been times when people have talked about stuff and brought things to people's attention and there's been a change. But I think so many times on social media, that's not what's happening. It's just people bitching and bitching and bitching and recycling the same story over and over and over again, because they feel like if they stop talking about it, it's going to die or something. And I feel like if we stop talking about it, there'll probably be another thing that takes its place, because that's what happened with COVID and then Ukraine. And I'm trying to say all the words for you.
Thank you.
All the words for you.
Vladimir Putin.
Oh, okay. Is there anything else we need to say? Yeah.
Yep. I don't know. It's so the Ukraine isn't panicking people enough. So this has been a big fail. For about 3 days, everybody was sure that nuclear war was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And some people hung on to that idea for till day 7. And then they stopped being as afraid, and they started doing things like figuring out how to use cryptocurrency to get funds to people who needed help, focusing on how can we get people out, all of those sorts of things. And so now I've noticed that we have a new, more transmissible version of COVID that's a combination of Delta and Omicron. So it's Domicron, I guess.
Is that for real?
No, I mean, but it is. The name is. I'm just naming it. But it's this hybrid version. It's kind of like the COVID flu.
Yes.
I can't remember. They had some word for that.
That's clever. Right. They did.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
The co-flu or the Flovid. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Fluvid.
So isn't it funny? Like that was such a big deal, and now we can't even think of what the name was. That's probably a commentary on how much everything changed. Like, be mad about this, be worried about this. Like, we can't even keep up or remember what it was.
Distracted says it's called Ba. It probably is. I think it is actually called Ba.
Yeah. I see Homestead Journey is saying you forgot to say Trump, so we should probably say that a few times.
Flu-rona Trump. Flu-rona. That's right. It was flu-rona.
Yes. Yeah. Flu-rona Trump Putin.
They just, it's funny when you're a podcaster and you can't remember a word, and people are listening to this later screaming the word at their radio. Yeah. I do that too, by the way, to other people. So now it's more transmissible. It's probably even less lethal than Omicron was, because that tends to be what's happening with the virus. And it's sweeping across Europe and somewhere else. Sweeping. Oh. And it's starting here, in California, where it always starts, apparently.
Oh.
Yeah. That's supposed to make us scared now. And the thing is, it's not.
No.
People have become completely numb to this at this point. There are still people who are scared, but people are basically numb to it.
I think people are figuring it out.
Yeah.
Or they're numb to it. Maybe they're numb to it and they're not figuring it out. They're just like overloaded with it's the next story, it's the next story. And they're not like, wait a second, like what's going on here?
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
We are all going to frickin' die. Thank you, Homestead Journey.
That's actually true.
It is.
Someday we all.
That is a factual statement. You could be a reporter.
You could.
We're all going to frickin' die.
Another side hustle for you, Brian.
Yeah. Well, any other random questions you want to ask before we sign off? We're at about an hour now. Nicole's the time Nazi who runs on time. I hadn't said Nazi yet, so I just had to get that in there.
We should make a list next time of the words we need to make sure. And then when we say a word, then we take a drink.
Yeah. Oh, you said drink.
I will be prepared for next month.
It's making you sad, isn't it, that you can't drink today?
A little bit, yeah. A little bit. That's okay.
Yeah. The Kung flu. Mm-hmm. I remember that. Boy, people got pissed off about that being racist. Did. Yeah. I mean, the Spanish flu didn't originate in Spain either, and that, you could posit that was also racist.
You could.
Nobody talks about that, though.
They don't.
I learned a lot from reading about the Spanish flu that helped me cope with the whole COVID thing.
Yeah.
Because at first I was like, oh shit, there's this thing that's finally happening. Everybody's promised me we were going to die from a pandemic.
Yeah.
And then as I learned more and more about it, I was like, oh, I need to stop drinking and lose weight. Oh, I said drink again.
This is excellent. I did the same thing though. We, they would post articles from like the Duluth newspaper, so north of me. But things that had happened during the Spanish flu, and there was masks, and there were people that were like, we're not wearing masks. Like it was a whole same thing over and over again. So it was interesting to read those. But this was unprecedented.
It was unprecedented.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. A lot more people died. I mean, maybe not volume wise, but when you look at the percentages, yeah. So the thing that'll piss you off about that book is decisions that were made did in fact result in people dying who probably didn't have to die. in the last 2 years.
I'm going to have to load that book.
Yeah.
Put it in my ears while I'm wading through the lake on my farm to get to the various things that I need to do.
Yeah.
I'll learn something. And
Melissa
get
wants
mad.
to be a spicy sister.
Woo-hoo!
We need a club. Melissa, can you start that club?
We'll get t-shirts.
We'll get t-shirts. Exactly. Or teacups.
There you go. Teacups. That's what we need.
Yeah. Well, cool. Why don't we do a little promo on the way out then, since there's no rando questions coming up.
Awesome. What are we going to promo? Ourselves.
Well, how do people follow you, Amy, if they aren't already? Because they're stupid.
If they aren't already.
They should totally follow you.
So I am at farmishkindoflife.com. I have a podcast. I upload 2 times a week, but now it's 3 times a week. In May, it might be 4 times a week. I don't know what's happening with all these live streams. They sure are fun, though. I also have I am live streaming tomorrow on my YouTube channel and my Facebook channel. So Farmish Kind of Life, 8 a.m. 8 to 9, generally, we hop on and just talk about totally random things. It's super fun. So join in on that if you want. And I also have a snail mail newsletter, a monthly snail mail newsletter that I have started. That is super, super fun. So if you want info about that, go to my website and go in the menu and look for the Farmish Papers. That's there. I should also give a shout out to Fireside Freedom. That is a group podcast that I am on. We live stream on Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Central. So that is super fun. A bunch of content creators. We get together and have a topic and basically do this.
Yeah, live streams are fun for that reason. All right, and I'm Nicole Sauce from Living Free in Tennessee, which is a podcast you can listen to on your podcast player, livingfreeintennessee.com. I also roast awesome Hollow Roast coffee. So if you want to get your coffee at hollowroast.com, it's craft roasted, and I will have put in my whole day of work before the next Spicy Sisters. We're going to do this again in a month, right?
Yes, we are.
About a month, we'll do another one. If you want to get a topic in, or you have something you want us to talk about, send it to Nicole at livingfreeintennessee.com, or go to livingfreeintennessee.com, click on contact. That'll go to me, and then maybe we can build you into our next show. Amy, thanks for making time. This was fun.
This was super fun. I'm glad we were finally able to do it.
Yeah, me too. We've been talking about it for a while. Bye, everybody.